be fair, we're Spanish and he's English.
Okay. Check one. Mic check, 1, 2, check. Bueno, sí. Bueno, sí. Adelante. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good? Good.
Test. Battlefield Commission. Ready? All right, good morning.
Test 1, 2, test
Welcome
1,
to
2.
the regional headquarters here at the Texas Department of Public Safety. I'm Chris Olivares. I'm the lieutenant for the South Texas region. This week's briefing, we're going to cover the surge that took place in Del Rio this past week, and of course, any significant activity that took place along the southern border from the Rio Grande Valley to Del Rio. Today's speakers will be Regional Director Victor Escalon, and also with the Texas Military Department, Lieutenant Colonel Rodney Kelly. After this brief, we will do brief questions and answers as far as once we're done with this, the briefing today, okay? So for right now, I'm going to turn it over to Regional Director Victor Escalon.
I guess speaker. Lieutenant Colonel. Good morning, everybody. My name is Victor Escalon. I'm the Regional Director for DPS South Texas, and welcome to our office. What I want to do today is give you a summary of last week's events for Operation Lone Star. This is a directive by Governor Abbott to deploy assets along the border for Operation Lone Star. Make no mistake, the goals, the objective of this operation is for DPS, Texas Military Department, to focus on the criminals that are exploiting and taking advantage of the border. That is our sole purpose. When we wake up every day, we want to make it difficult, deter, arrest these criminals that are exploiting this. Operation Lone Star. I want to start with some of the numbers that we have as of September 23rd, 2021. As of now, we have over 6,000 criminal arrests up and down the border in South Texas, West Texas. We have apprehended and referred over 144,000 migrants that have been turned over to U.S. Border Patrol. As you can see, over 3,000 belong to Texas Parks and Wildlife Department in supporting this effort. 71,000 belong to Texas Military Department, with a total of 144,000 since March 4th. Vehicle pursuits, we're looking at 749 pursuits in the RGV, the Del Rio area of responsibility. Drug seizures, marijuana. We've made over 9,000 pounds of marijuana has been seized off the roadways along the border. Cocaine, 1,281. Methamphetamine, 1,557. Heroin, 29 pounds. Fentanyl, over 129 pounds. We have seized over $4.3 million in investigations and operations in and around the areas along the border. We also work very closely with our partners, Lieutenant Colonel Kelly, fencing project. They are our eyes and ears along the border. Lieutenant Colonel.
Hey, good morning. Lieutenant Colonel Rodney Kelly. I'm the Director of Training and Operations for the Texas Military Department. So over the last week, the Texas Military Department has remained under the direction of Governor Abbott on the front lines of the border. We have apprehended over 2,000 individuals crossing the border illegally just this last week. Additionally, we have almost 200 turnbacks, which is illegal smuggling activity that returned back to Mexico and were unable to cross. I'll cover some additional stuff on the border construction later on, but thank you and good morning, sir.
Lieutenant Colonel Kelly, we talk on a weekly basis on always adjusting and trying to figure out what are the areas of interest, what are the threats. Great partner. So last week, we had a influx of migrants, of Haitians that came across from Acuña underneath and staged underneath the city of Del Rio, the POE, and that belonged to the city of Del Rio. This all started on Wednesday. On Wednesday, the 15th, there were 7,000 migrants sitting underneath the POE. U.S. Border Patrol calls our service commander, Joel Bencourt, our captain in Del Rio, requesting assistance. What was occurring is they had 7,000. They didn't have the manpower to provide outer perimeter security. They were tied up doing processing. So of course, we jumped in and we provided troopers to provide support to our U.S. Border Patrol partners. Thursday came around, we're looking at 10,000 now, migrants underneath the POE. We maintained our presence, what we had from Wednesday, the previous day. Friday, we're looking at 13,000 now, migrants, Haitians, sitting underneath the POE. We enhanced our presence of troopers supporting our U.S. Border Patrol partners. Saturday morning, by the end of the evening, it jumped up to 15,000 migrants underneath the POE. Also, there was a presence positioned on the side of Acuna to come across. So there's no doubt there was probably looking at about 17,000 migrants sitting in and around the Del Rio POE. We had conversations that morning around 10 o'clock in the morning, conversations with Texas Military Department, Governor Abbott's office, our colonels, on planning what are we going to do to deter this and stem the flow of migrants. 10 o'clock, the word goes out to our personnel. By 2 o'clock, we have hundreds of troopers positioned on the west side of the POE in Del Rio. We deployed a heavy presence of black and whites, Texas Military Department, quickly to stem the flow. We gained control. We gained control of the west side of the POE by 4 o'clock. We got on Station 2, 4 o'clock, we're in control of that area. We have blocked the landings, working together with his team, our team, and of course, U.S. Border Patrol to make that effect. We pushed all these migrants underneath the POE. We brought in, under the direction of Governor Abbott, at 10 o'clock that morning, we pushed all our DPS assets in the Del Rio AOR, over 1,000, to this problem. We called in troopers from the Rio Grande Valley, the Big Bend sector as well, to support this initiative. As you can see, all the troopers, the nighttime, the presence that was there. So the concern was we deter, stem the flow of migrants coming across. But another concern of ours was insurrection, riot, people frustrated, 15,000, what are we going to do? Now we got a problem. You have the city of Del Rio concerned, the county judge concerned, the sheriff concerned. What are we going to do? So we sent everything we got to address this and to make sure it's a safe environment for all and to prevent anybody from escaping that area, from walking around the POEs. The assets we had plugged into this operation last week, we had aviation, DPS aviation, providing overwatch, the eyes in the sky for us, letting us know what is occurring in the immediate area and the outer flanks as well. Because there was people walking around the sides trying to avoid getting processed in the middle. So that was of interest for us. So we had Texas Parks and Wildlife, we had TMD, we had troopers, we had aircraft. We had the DPS Tactical Marine Unit plugged in with our DPS Special Operation Group. We had armored vehicles positioned to serve as a rescue in case somebody needed assistance, law enforcement assistance, with a number of Haitians that were there. We also had them working the flanks, providing outer perimeter security. DPS Special Agents. We had over 100, and their job was to maintain an outer perimeter security to make sure no crimes, violations were occurring inside, underneath the POE. Keep it safe. Assaults, sexual assaults. It goes on and on and on. State violations. Texas Parks and Wildlife, like I mentioned earlier, they covered the flanks, criminal trespass, and making sure nobody was walking around the sides and bringing them back to the POE to get them processed. Or they were going back to Mexico. You had the Texas Military Department. They plugged in with our troopers, creating a barrier. They were also on the ground with our troopers around the POE, providing a security position. Texas Division of Emergency Management, very important. So we had well over 1,000 personnel committed to this operation. We had over 600 on standby if needed. They provided the food, water, medical to maintain this operation and support our personnel because they were there 24 hours a day. Then, of course, DPS, Intelligence and Counterterrorism Division. They kept us posted on daily activity reports, what's coming, what's happened. They help us organize the data coming in on what's occurring and what we're going to do. What is our plan moving forward? They give us the information needed. As you can see, the barrier of troopers, very effective. Helicopters. Midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, with our federal partners, we start moving assets to the east side of the POE. The same scenario, the same tactic we use on the west side is now being employed on the east side. As you can see, we have Texas Military Department, black and whites. There's federal partners plugged in as well. We started wide, and we started slowly pushing into the brush and pushing everybody underneath the POE. A landing on the east side, coming across from Acuna, an area where they were crossing, which is further downriver from this location. So, as Border Patrol, OFO, Office of Field Operations, ICE, are processing the migrants underneath the POE. You had over 40 buses a day, 4 to 7 flights coming in a day to decrease the numbers. As the numbers decreased, we came in tighter and brought in on the east side and gained control of that area. As you can see, Texas Military Department, Border Patrol, Horse Patrol, Texas Highway Patrol, everybody worked together. And it was so impressive what ICE, OFO, U.S. Border Patrol did and how quickly it was impressive on processing all those migrants so fast. This picture right here was taken on Friday at 7 p.m. So as the days progressed last week, by Friday, the numbers were down to 0. No more migrants underneath the POE. As you can see here, here's a picture that was taken at 7 p.m. on Friday. It is totally cleaned out and nobody underneath the POE. And you have a DPS black and white unit still maintaining a security position. Lieutenant Colonel.
And so originally working for DPS, we responded with a company of about 12 to 20 Humvees and about 100 personnel, just a company. As the crisis worsened over the next couple days, we then responded with over 40 up-armored Humvees, up to 400 soldiers, and we also staged another couple companies for response. Also, we had an additional 70 Humvees, which we have now pre-staged into the valley to ensure that we have additional assets should anything like this happen again. While we were conducting these operations, we continued to, with our infrastructure construction projects continued. We continued providing security positions along the border as we're interdicting illegal activity. And we also are flowing additional personnel and equipment and conducting training for an additional 1,500 soldiers that will be flowing into the region over the next 4 weeks. Sir?
So when the influx was occurring last week, I mean, you had more soldiers coming down, more equipment coming down to support the effort. So another initiative by Governor Abbott is a criminal trespass initiative. And right now, this initiative is only in 2 counties, Kenny County and Valverde County. Right now, we're sitting at over 1,000 criminal trespass arrests that we have made since July 20th. As you can see, they come from Mexico, Honduras, Venezuela, Cuba, El Salvador, Congo, Panama. The list goes on, as you can see there presented. We arrest them in coordination with landowners on private property. We arrest them for a violation of criminal trespass. We take them to the Valverde Processing Center, get them processed, get them magistrated, and then they're sent over, they're bussed over to TDCJ, the Briscoe unit in Dilley, as well as the Segovia unit in Edinburgh, Texas, where they stay there awaiting their trial date. We're also working with Texas Texas Military Department on partnering up and identifying areas of interest, threats, on building temporary barriers, temporary fencing. Sir?
So currently, we've basically, for infrastructure construction, we're at approximately 3 miles of construction that we've completed. We're working with DPS, working under the direction of Governor Abbott, specifically to safeguard Texans and their property and their personnel. We currently have one, and then we have just stood up a second team of engineers that are doing that construction project. We will grow to 4 this week, and we will have 12 teams by the end of the month. That will allow us the abilities to respond to multiple locations and increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of some of the construction projects that we're doing in support of DPS. We work hand in hand again with DPS to find the right areas, the right places where we need to do the construction and to get the effects and the support that they need.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now, I want to just shift a little bit here. Last week as well, we had 2 significant arrests and seizures made by our DPS personnel. So here in Zavala County, on the 22nd of September, a trooper pulled over this vehicle and arrested this young lady in cooperation with ATF. She will be prosecuted federally on this, but she was carrying pistols, AR rifle platforms, and several magazines. No doubt they were going over into Mexico. Piedras Negras. Monday, this past Monday, DPS Special Agents, DPS Special Operation Group, THP, Texas Highway Patrol, working together, seized 125 pounds of marijuana in Stark County. And it goes back to partnership. None of this is possible without us working together to achieve the goal. Make it difficult for the criminals to come across. That is who we're going after. Working together with TMD, U.S. Border Patrol, is the way to go. So thank you so much.
You can reposition, and then we'll start the questions. Where do you do the questions over here? Please raise your hand, announce your name and your outlet, and then I'm calling you for the question.
Did you all get a warning prior, and are you doing anything now with this information that potentially there's this large group of patients that are coming up, and where do you think they're going to come to?
Yeah, please.
Hey, so September 12th, there were 500 migrants, Haitians, sitting under the POE. September 8th, they were planning on flying those Haitians back. So they were already developing around, on September 12th, there was 500. So we already got information, but that was normal activity that we were seeing. There are migrants coming across. Okay, we got 500. And U.S. Border Patrol was going to fly them over back to Haiti, and they were going to fly over 900 migrants on the 8th. But it was canceled. It was canceled, and BP had to process 800 to 900. Those were released within 2 days. So September 10th, they're out in the streets. And guess what? They're on social media. They're on social media, and they're pushing out to the rest of the South America, Central America, Haiti, hey, we're getting cut loose. So as a result, after the 10th, you see the numbers increasing. So we were in communication with U.S. Border Patrol leading up to that weekend when we had over 15,000. You know, on Wednesday, we get a phone call, and we quickly addressed. And moving forward, we have close collaboration with our U.S. federal partners on any intel. We're also using our partners that are out in the field in communicating with the public, communicating with people that we arrest. What are you hearing in Mexico? And we will address it. So we are aware of it. We will address it, working together with Lieutenant Colonel Kelly. We will move assets quickly, aggressively to deter and stem that flow. And yes, we got information. There's more people in Mexico right now, but we're not sure where they're going to cross. I've heard Texas. I've heard Arizona. I've heard California. But we're mindful, and we're keeping an eye, and we'll move quickly to stem that flow.
Just as a follow-up, with all due respect, the mayor said it was February when they warned these people were coming, yet no action took place till September. So, I mean, how proactive can you be?
So we're going to be proactive. We're going to be proactive. We talk to the mayor on a regular basis, our staff. We will continue to be proactive. We will continue to be proactive and identify any gaps.
Are there any updates on border barriers for the RGB? Is there a timeline for that? Yeah.
Well, so we started with just really one engineering team. And as the need has grown, we will grow to 12 engineering teams over the next about 4 weeks. By the end of the month, we should have all 12 in place. We have to train, we have to get the equipment and the additional resources in place. And then we're working with DPS. And DPS, through their analyst and working with the Office of the Governor, they're going to locate and point out the places that are create the biggest need, and we will flow teams there and be as efficient as quick as possible as doing the infrastructure construction.
So right now we're focusing in Valverde, Kennedy County, and Maverick County for fence construction, but we're also looking for other areas of interest, down in the Rio Grande Valley, Webb County, Zapata, all the way to Big Bend and El Paso. We're looking for areas of interest, and that's where we're at right now.
And then, Victor, what would have happened if you guys didn't make that presence in Del Rio and it was just taken care of by BP?
So they were lacking manpower. So I want to say one thing. So by midweek, we're sitting at over 2,000 law enforcement personnel to address the problem there under the POE. That's a lot of efforts to make sure that was a safe environment. And if we weren't there, they could be potentially walking into the city of Del Rio. That was our role: provide security, provide containment, so Border Patrol can process these migrants quickly and push them out of Del Rio. Yes, sir.
You all mentioned that you made some arrests this week, and there are some migrants at the Edinburgh facility right now. How many are there right now at this moment, and are any of them Haitian?
So, no. The areas, what I mentioned earlier, there were no Haitians there arrested just yet.
Okay, how many migrants are there at the Edinburgh?
Approximately 200.
But we know Del Rio was a big operation also for DPS and participation. What did you guys learn, either on strategies or manpower, or how you guys to develop a game plan that can be brought to RGV in case if needed?
So, you're always going to learn something from an operation. Good, bad, it doesn't matter. You're going to learn something you're always going to take away. But we're always prepared to make sure we address it aggressively. So if something had happened here in the Rio Grande Valley, we're going to lean on our partners. You have a lot of police departments here. There's a lot of infrastructure here. We have troopers around the state. We have Texas Military Department that are bringing a lot of assets to bear on having multiple scenarios like what happened in Del Rio to address quickly and aggressively.
Follow-up question, have you seen anything like that happen here in this region?
So maybe there's been migrants underneath the POE in Ansel Duas Park, and Border Patrol quickly had an infrastructure in place to handle the numbers.
How many assets do you still have in Del Rio, and how many do you have deployed here in the Rio Grande Valley?
So, for operational security, we have over 1,000 DPS personnel on DPS OLS. With a main focus right now in the Del Rio area of responsibility.
You mentioned them coming from Big Bend as well as the Rio Grande Valley, but I heard there were also troopers from El Paso, correct?
Yeah, so Operation Lone Star, we're using personnel from South Texas, but we're also pulling on personnel from around the state that make up that over 1,000 that we have on OLS.
The barriers are being constructed here in the RGV. Are they being done on federal land, or which lands are being used for this construction?
So currently, we're not doing any construction in the RGV. We're primarily focused in that Del Rio area, that we'll be expanding over the next few months. So as of now, we're not doing anything in there, and that the land that we're working on currently is private Texas citizens.
Do we know how many miles are being?
So we've completed 3 miles, and that's really with one team. And we've built some efficiencies, learned some things over time. We're trying to get better as we go along. But as we grow to 12, we're trying to get to a quarter of a mile to a half mile a day of the construction in the current capacity that we're going to.
Follow-up question, when we talk about fencing, what type of fencing is it? Is it like the border wall that we have here, or what type of, how is it being?
So currently, the fencing we're doing, we're trying to be a little more agile and quick so that we can get more miles completed. So the fencing we're doing, though we consider the barrier somewhat temporary in nature, it's about 10 feet. And it's kind of the chain link that goes up about 8. It has some outriggers with some other equipment on top to help secure that. But so about a 10-foot fence, whereas I think the more permanent construction that you've seen through contracts and other means will go 16 feet or greater at times.
Anyone else? All right, that concludes this week's briefing. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I couldn't see, and I didn't put my glasses on, and then I got my bearings on the dates, and
Oh, we didn't? Oh, okay.